Welcome to another Plague Time edition of Elmira Baptist Church's Daily Update. Preachers are always looking for new material, and particularly stories, analogies, ways to make their sermons come to life. The Bible truths that we know get from our head into your heart. And I'm particularly grateful to John Nordstrom for his friendship and his help. I want to share with you some analogies that he's given me to use in my preaching. Here's the first one. He spoke with the wisdom that can only come from experience. Like a man who went blind because he looked at a solar eclipse without one of those special set of glasses, and now he goes around the country speaking at high schools about the danger of looking at the solar eclipse without the special glasses. Here's another. She grew on him like she was a colony of E. coli, and he was room temperature Canadian beef. Her vocabulary was as bad as, like, whatever. Or, he was as tall as a 6-foot, 3-inch tree. Here's my personal favorite. The suicidal businessman plunged 12 stories, hitting the pavement like a hefty bag full of Campbell's tomato soup. Another, the hailstones leaped from the pavement, the way maggots skip around a pan when you fry them in hot grease. For those of you that are algebra teachers, long separated by cruel fate, the star-crossed lovers raced across the grassy field toward each other like two freight trains, one having left Cleveland at 6:36 p.m. traveling at 55 miles per hour, and the other from Topeka at 4:19 p.m. at the speed of 35 miles per hour. Another one. He fell for her like his heart was a mob informant, and she was the East River. Another, he was as lame as a duck. Not the metaphorical lame duck either, but a real duck. It was actually lame, maybe from stepping on a landmine or something. And then finally, John, here's one for you. Even in his last years, Granddad had a mind like a steel trap, only one that had been left out so long that it had rusted shut. Thank you for those. John, I'll see if I can get one or two of those into my next sermon. Here's the quote for today. Seems appropriate after having read to you those bad analogies. Prosperity leads to apathy. Apathy leads to boredom. Boredom leads to stupidity. This is your daily Elmira Baptist Church update for Friday, July 31, 2020. Just a little bit of news. I want to thank you as a church for giving so generously to the Lord. And inform you, just let you know, that we collected $2,675 for the Liviocos, and I signed the check yesterday. We'll be sending that to them shortly. This Sunday morning, in addition, we're going to put the Answers for America on hiatus in the morning. I want to preach through the month of August on the issue of revival and spiritual renewal. So you come this morning, we're going to kick off that series with a sermon about revival, what it is to be spiritually renewed. Don't forget that tomorrow morning, some of us will be doing some visiting. We had some ladies go out yesterday. A couple of us went out again last night to visit people. We'll go out again tomorrow morning, do some door knocking. We begin at 9:45. If you would like to meet us at the church, 9:45. Some of us meet at 9 o'clock to pray. Just want you to know we could use you. Pray, if you would, for the men of Elmira Baptist Church. God gives us as men a particular responsibility for not just ourselves, but also for the families that He's given us and the communities around us. So pray that we would be the spiritual leaders in our families that we ought to be. For our devotional this morning, I'd ask you to turn to Psalm chapter 30. Psalm chapter 30. I know this is a difficult time. I met with some pastors yesterday in the morning about the possible evangelistic services coming up in October, trying to do some planning. And I'll have some more to say about that in a week or two as some more things get decided. But everybody every church, every Christian is in the deep end of the pool and don't exactly know how long we can tread water. It's the truth that a church is only a church as it gathers, as it gets together, as it fellowships. And often that involves food, it involves shaking hands, and some people giving hugs to each other. And you can't do that right now. And so it's just, we feel like we're in the deep end of the pool treading water. We hope that we don't have to tread water for another couple of years. You pray. But this verse speaks to that. Psalm 30, verse 5, for his anger, this is speaking of God. Well, verse 4, sing unto the Lord, O ye saints of his, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. For his anger endureth but for a moment. In his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And in my prosperity I said, I shall never be moved. You see, the psalmist recognizes that you're going through these times, these seasons of life when it seems like everything's going right. And in your prosperity, you say, I'll never be moved. What could happen that would upend my life? And yet God wants us to be dependent upon him. So in his holiness, in his wisdom, he sends trouble. He sends circumstances that are troublesome. He sends us tasks that seem too big. He sends us situations we've never faced before and we don't know how to respond to. And Satan and our flesh and the world, they want to get us down. See, God doesn't care. He's not around. It's never going to get better. Just as sure as we were in our prosperity that we'll never be moved, in our time of trouble, we think, I'll just never be moved from the time of trouble. But verse 5 tells us, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I don't know how this all ends. I would love to think that it ends with the rapture of the saints. I was discussing that with a couple last night. Wouldn't it be great if Jesus came back and just, I wouldn't worry anymore about the pandemic. But there are other ways it may end. We don't know how it's going to end, but we do know this: God's in control. He has a plan. And he's never going to leave us. He's never going to forsake us. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning. Keep that in mind. God's still in control. We'll meet again tomorrow. See if John's watching today.